All right, without further ado, we are going to get started. So first of all, I would like to introduce myself because you guys should know that you can actually trust me and that I know what I'm talking about. So I'm originally from Uzbekistan, which is a country in Central Asia. So to everyone from Uzbekistan, hello, I love you guys and I miss my home. So I am an international student just like you. I also don't speak English that perfectly. I also have visa problems. I also don't understand a lot of the terms that American or other colleges use. So trust me, I have been there and I know exactly why it's hard, but I have come out on the other side because I ended up going to New York University, Abu Dhabi, which is one of the top schools in the US and in the world, on a full ride scholarship. So I have not only struggled, but I actually found a way to succeed in the college admissions journey, and I'm now ready to help you guys do the same. Speaking of scholarships, we all like numbers. The total amount of scholarship I got was $560,000. This is from two schools that I got into. NYU Abu Dhabi gave me $320,000, which basically covered all of my expenses, including my visa, my flights, my meals, and I even have a little bit of extra cash to travel around. And the rest of the money came from another university that I got accepted to, but I did not attend. The last bullet point is that I'm Borderless co-founder and CEO. And this webinar is organized not just by me, by our amazing team at Borderless. So I'm happy that you guys are here and I'm happy you guys are enjoying the content and the help that we provide. So I would like to start our webinar with a very bold statement that maybe some of you will disagree. So it will be my job to demystify this claim and to really prove it to you that it is possible. And the claim is the following, that anyone from anywhere can study at world's top universities. When I say anyone, I literally mean anyone from any country with any citizenship and with any financial background. You don't need fancy connections. You don't need your parents to donate $10 million. You don't need to be friends with certain people, and you do not need that much money after all. So I really want you guys to internalize this belief because everything starts from your head. If you believe this is possible, this is where you get motivated and this is where you actually start putting in the work. But if some people here are like, no, you only got in because your dad is rich, or you only got in because somebody helped you, or you just got very lucky, this is not the right mindset to be in. So I hope you will now kind of open up your mind to this idea that truly anyone, which means all of you guys right here, can be students at Harvard, Stanford, in any university that you possibly want. But of course, it requires a lot of work. So maybe my story was not enough. So I would like to introduce to you a few people from our community who are also proving what I have said before, that anyone from anywhere can study abroad. The first person is Pacific. He is from Rwanda, and he went to Dartmouth University, which is a very prestigious Ivy League university in the United States. And he was able to secure full financial aid, amounted to $400,000, which again covers everything that he would possibly need. Again, very much possible. He is a real person. He is currently, I believe, either a sophomore or a junior at the university. And you can read his story on our website, borderless.so. But you might say, okay, this is bachelor's degree. What about other degrees? Meet the next person. Her name is Azati, and she's from Malaysia. She ended up going to Oxford University, which is number 1 and number 2 university in the UK, depending on the ranking, but you have definitely heard about the school. She went to Oxford University with a Rhodes Scholarship, which again was a fully funded scholarship that covered anything that she possibly needed. Let's look at example number 3. This is Anna. She is from Belarus, which is another post-Soviet country, and she went to Stanford. Again, I'm pretty sure you know this amazing university, and she also got full financial aid or fully funded scholarship. These terms are interchangeable. I will explain exactly what I mean when I say scholarship or when I say financial aid, but all you need to know is that these people were able to have all of their educational, living, and other expenses covered. So far we have covered bachelor's degree, which means undergraduate. We've covered master's degree, And there is also possibility to do PhD that is also fully funded. So meet the last person from Pakistan who ended up going to Vanderbilt University, another very, very prestigious university in the United States. And her funding was slightly different from the rest. She basically had all of her tuition covered, and then she was getting a stipend or a salary, let's say, because when you do a PhD degree, you actually have to do some work, you have to do research. So she was getting paid for it. And again, she was able to get her PhD degree without paying a cent. So again, here are stories of real people who are just like you, who came from third world countries. I don't like to use this word, but we could say that, and who are now literally on top of the world. You can read all of these stories, their admission journeys, their stats, their advice on our website. And there's so many more stories like that. So I hope that in about a year's time, you guys will be these kind of people. And when I do the same webinar, I will be featuring your photos and your stories on our website. So all of this sounds very inspiring, but I understand that now you might be having a lot of doubts. You might be feeling, okay, it sounds cool, but I don't really know how to start. I don't understand what are the admission requirements. Let's say I want to do engineering, but I have no idea which university is best for me. Or you might be worrying about your language, the fact that maybe you don't speak English that well, maybe you can't write in English that well. So now let's take like 10 seconds and please write down in the chat what is the number one concern that you currently have on your study abroad journey. Just write a short bullet point. Let me know what is the pressing thought that doesn't let you sleep, that makes you worry, and I will make sure I clear most of them during today's session. All right. Thank you guys for being active. I'm seeing that the costs and the funds are probably the most recurring topic. And trust me, I will talk about it. So please make sure to stay until the end. So, all right, I'm trying to read the responses. There's quite a lot of them. But thank you guys for sharing visas, costs, programs. I understand all of it. So also the reason I asked you guys to share is so that you feel like that you're not alone. I understand that many of you think that, oh, nobody around me is doing what I'm doing. I don't really have friends who are trying to go abroad. So you don't have anyone to share your concerns with. So right now, there is almost 300 people in this chat who are going through the same journey as you are. And just read each other's responses and understand that it is totally normal to have these concerns. These are the questions that everyone has. And it is 100% normal, but it's important to not get demotivated by it, but to just take it as a challenge and learn how to navigate this challenge. All right. So today's presentation is actually prepared not by me, but by Borderless Sensei, who is your personal guide to applying to overseas universities and getting full scholarships. So everything that you see from now on is content that has 100% been created by Borderless Sensei. And you will be able to learn how you can access it, how you can get Sensei's help at the end of this webinar. So make sure to stay till the end. This is also where we will reveal how you can purchase it, and we will give you guys humongous discounts that are only available to people who are coming to this event. So when I thought about how to frame this presentation, I thought that since I was an international student, I went through it, how about I talk about it from my own perspective? So I asked myself, if I now were in your shoes, if I now were in high school, or I now was doing a bachelor's degree in my home country, what would have I asked to somebody like Sensei? So the first question is, of course, how do I get started? So you understand it is technically kind of possible to go abroad and there is some money available. Okay, but what do I actually have to do? So this is the plan that Sensei has prepared. And this is also the content of today's webinar. So these are all the sections that we will cover. So the number one step you have to do is to actually define your goal. Everything starts from this. You have to understand what it is that you want to do in life. Do you want to get a good career abroad and stay there, or do you want to immigrate and move to an entirely different country? Do you maybe want to get a good education and then come back to your home country? All of these are very, very different goals. Because let's say if you want to immigrate, then Canada is a very good option because Canada has really lenient immigration policies. But if, let's say, you want to build the next Facebook or the next Google, the next big tech company, then you might want to go to a place like Stanford because it's literally in the middle of the Silicon Valley. So you can see how, based on what your goal is, your strategy and your actions will be very, very different. Step number 2 is researching and shortlisting universities. I find that this is where people have the most trouble with. People think, oh, I'll just go anywhere where there's a scholarship. I just don't care. Just give me money. I'm ready to go anywhere. And this is a very bad pattern of thinking. So the next step is to research the universities that are actually good for you. Number 3 is you have to explore funding options. Of course, maybe you found some universities that look cool, that have amazing programs, but you're not able to pay for it. So this is the step to do it. And as you notice, we are doing it even before we apply. Unfortunately, many people apply, get in, and then they're like, oh no, how do I pay for that? Too late, guys, too late. We have to do this in the beginning. Step number 4 is taking tests. What kind of tests I will be talking about further in this presentation. Step number 5 is preparing various application documents. And also what kind of documents I will explain in detail. I will give you a whole list of what you guys will have to prepare. Step number 6 is applying by the deadline. Deadlines would be very different depending on your university, on a degree, on a country. So this is something you have to be very, very diligent with and plan it in advance so that you make sure you don't miss any deadlines. And the last step is to accept your offer and start preparing for your studies. That would be getting your student visa, looking for housing, trying to find friends in the new city, and then you're all set to go. So these are basically all the steps that everyone goes through when we want to go abroad. So I would like to start with researching universities. So how do I pick university? This is the second question that I would definitely ask to Sensei. And Sensei has a very smart framework about how you guys should approach researching universities. As I said in the beginning, many people say, oh, just give me money. I'm ready to go. I really don't care. And this is not good because just looking for money is not a college fit. I want you guys to really remember the term college fit. This basically means that a university should fit you as a person and you should fit to the university. And this fit includes several aspects that you currently see on the screen. Number 1 is the academic fit. The question you have to ask yourself is, can I study what I want to study at that specific university? Because not every university offers every single major that exists. For example, Harvard University for undergraduates does not have a business major. Why? I have no idea. Surprising? Yes, surprising. So if you want to study business as an undergraduate, Harvard is just not a good university for you, even though it's prestigious, even though it has a lot of funding, even though your parents will be very proud, but it is not your fit. Instead, you want to go somewhere else that has a very, very strong business program. For example, it could be UPenn. All right, so this is number 1. Number 2, of course, is financial fit. You should never be applying to university that you cannot afford. What I mean by that either tuition fees are way too high or the university does not provide any scholarships. And unfortunately, it is common. Not every university has millions and millions of dollars to fund you guys. So this requires a lot of research to find schools that you can actually be able to afford. And how exactly we do that, we will talk a little bit later. Question number 3 you have to ask yourself is about student life. I want you guys to remember that you're not just going to study at a place, you're not just going to sit in class, but you're also going to live in an entirely new country. You will have entirely new friends. You will be in a different city. You will be eating different food. You will be surrounded by different people. And this is very, very, very important. So for example, if you are a conservative girl who, I don't know, whose parents are very, very strict, you might not be able to go to certain states in the US that have a very, very different culture. Or for example, if you really like Asia, maybe let's say you grew up watching anime and you've always been fascinated by Japan, then you might want to go to Asia and specifically to Japan so that the lifestyle would match the life that you have always envisioned. It wouldn't make sense to go to Canada to study Japanese culture, right? So where you are, location is extremely important. The next step you have to look at is career development. So you guys have to understand that going to college is not the end point of your life. This is not where you made it and then this is it. There's nothing else you have to do in life. This is just a step to your long life career. So you have to make sure that the university you're attending satisfies the career aspirations that you have. This is especially relevant for those who are doing master's degree, because this is your second degree and this is direct path to your future career development. So for example, if you want to be a physicist or a scientist, you want to make sure that the university would actually have amazing facilities and labs for you to do research, because if they don't have it, you're not going to do well as a scientist. You're not going to get experience. You're not going to build connections. So you want to make sure the university actually helps you get ahead in life by building your career. And the last one, very, very important aspect to look into when you're talking about college fit is admissions chances. So I don't want to be that person who will say that, oh no, you're too stupid or too unqualified to go to a certain university. That is never true. As I said in the beginning, I believe, firmly, deeply believe that anyone can go anywhere as long as they have a strategy and they put in enough work. But when it actually comes to applying, you have to be realistic. And if your GPA is 2.0, probably Harvard is not the best school for you. Because if you look at the average grade at Harvard, there would be 3.9 or 4.0. So you just have to be more realistic and you have to understand where you stand compared to other applicants who are attending a university. All right. I would like you guys to leave me a reaction or an emoji or write me in the chat if what I just shared was clear. If you guys understand how important it is to find your college fit and not just look at one aspect. All right, thank you for reactions. I love these emojis, so lively, so fun. Okay, perfect. We're gonna move forward. And I will give you guys an example of how Sensei can actually help you find your college fit. So this is an exercise I have done for myself. So I've asked myself all these questions. What is my academic fit? And for me, I have studied engineering. So my academic fit would be engineering. Financial need, I went to my mom. I talked to my mom. I was like, hey, mom, do we have money for my degree? And she was like, no. Okay, this is what we deal with. So my financial need is that I'm broke and I basically need full aid. This is unfortunate, but it does work out in the end. When I asked myself about student life, I thought that I really enjoy big cities such as New York or Tokyo. I've lived in both and I was very happy with the noise, with the amount of crowds, with the energy. So this is something that I knew I would be happy at. For career development, I knew that at some point I wanted to have my own company, but I wasn't too sure. And it's totally fine to not be super set on each of these aspects in the beginning because you're probably now like 17, 18, or even like 20 years old. So it's fine that you don't have the whole picture set in place. And the last one, when I looked at my admission chances, I knew that I had a very strong profile of GPA about 3.8. So we take all of these and we ask Sensei, okay, so where can I go? What can I do? Oh, sorry, actually, I changed the order of slides. All right. A little change of plans. So now let's talk actually about how we're going to fund our degrees. And then I will show you guys how Sensei recommends me universities. Because Sensei does take into account your financial circumstances. So even if Sensei knows that I want to do engineering and that I want to be in a big city, it doesn't yet understand my financial situation. So this, I believe, will be one of the most interesting parts of today's presentation. So whatever you're watching from, I recommend you guys to open up your notes app or get a pen and paper and take a few notes about the next section that I'm going to share. So Here are the different types of funding that are available to you. I will not go into super long details for each one. Again, this is something you can work out with Sensei as you become Sensei students, but this is the general overview of your options. Number one is something called need-based financial aid. This is not a scholarship, this is financial aid. It is basically given to students who have financial need. It means that they are not able to pay for their studies. For example, if you come from a country like mine, then the average salary is maybe a few hundred or a few $1,000s. So then if I want to go to NYU, where tuition is $80,000, there is no match. I literally cannot afford it. So financial aid is designed for students like me. And it's a very common practice in the US only for undergraduate. Master students, we will get to you later, but financial aid is usually for undergraduates. It is also practiced in a few other countries, but I would say the most popular country that uses it is the United States. Now, it's important to understand that this aid is basically given to people who actually need it. So if you don't need it, which means if your family can afford your tuition, your living expenses, you're not going to get the financial aid. There is other options for you. And to give you a more concrete example, for schools in the US, like Harvard, Yale, Stanford, the cutoff is about $70,000 a year. So they're basically saying if your family makes less than $70,000 a year, you are eligible for financial aid. So we will cover your expenses if you need them. All right. And when colleges evaluate your financial aid, they will basically ask you to provide a lot of financial information about yourself. They will ask you what are your mom's salary, your dad's salary, how much does your house cost, do you have any business, do you have any property? They will take all of that into account and they will calculate how much money you actually need. Okay, I hope this was clear because this is the most common way that students from developing countries are able to go to places like Harvard and Stanford. All right, point number two is the merit-based scholarships. So this is very different. This is not aid. This is a scholarship that's given based on your merit or achievements. And those could be different achievements. They can be academic achievements. For example, if you are top 1% of your class, you might be getting some merit-based scholarship. This could also be athletic scholarships. If you are champion of your city golf club, I don't know, this was a bad example, but you know what I mean. If you have certain achievements in certain areas that are not only academics, then you could be eligible for various merit-based scholarships. Okay, so, and this merit-based scholarship does not look at your finance. So even if you're very rich, but you're very talented as well, you might be able to get it. The third type of funding are government scholarships. These could be split into two different types. Number one is your own government is funding you to go abroad. Now, my government didn't have anything at the time I was applying, but that's okay. So it is not for everyone, but you just have to do research and see for yourself. But for example, in Kazakhstan, which is a country next to Uzbekistan, there is Bolashak government scholarship that basically funds students to go do master's degree abroad. And again, all expenses are fully covered, all right? Where I am right now, I'm now in Chile. There is also a government scholarship called Becas Scholarship that's also given to Chilean citizens to go do master's degree abroad. So I don't know situation in all of your guys' countries, but I highly recommend you guys to do research on that and see what kind of scholarships your government can provide for you. And the second type of government scholarships are other countries' governments pay you to come and study there, because many countries value diversity, so they want to bring talented students to come study at their countries. For example, in the US, Fulbright Scholarship is very popular, and it is given out by the government of the United States to international students. In the UK, there are scholarships like Chevening Scholarship or the Rhodes Scholarship that are also given out by the government of UK for you guys. So again, government scholarships is a very, very wide area. So I highly recommend you guys to do research and to work with Sensei to find something that would be available for you, okay? So the next type is private scholarships. This is very, very general umbrella of whatever other scholarships are available. They can be provided by companies, For example, in Korea, Samsung is giving out really good scholarships. They can be provided by some rich people. If there is a billionaire who has a lot of money on hand, they're like, let me fund a few talented students. That's also possible. So there's many different organizations or people or companies who might be able to give out private scholarships to you guys. Okay, and the last two types are relevant for graduate students. So that is now master's and PhD. So if you're one, attention, please. The most common way to fund your degree is assistantship. They can be graduate assistantship or teaching assistantship. And when you do an assistantship, you're basically kind of employed by the university. So you have to do some kind of work. You either have to do research with a professor or you have to teach. You won't be like the big professor, but you might be assistant to a professor or whatever other arrangement your university makes. And when you have this kind of job, you get paid and you get your tuition covered. Okay, so this is not you just getting scholarship and doing nothing. This is you actually contributing to the university, but you have all your expenses covered. So this is very common way to get funding. It is called assistantship. And the last type that's also relevant for international student is a fellowship. Fellowship is a pretty general term, and I would say it is quite similar to a scholarship, where sometimes fellowship might just give you money and say, here is your funding, go study, go do whatever you want. Some fellowships, you might have to do some work, again, do research, do teaching, or help university in whatever way. But again, this kind of fellowship would fund your graduate degree. And the last thing I want to mention here is that it is much more common to get funding for a PhD than for masters. Funding for masters is much more limited because you're there for only 2 years or even 1 year, so you don't make as much contribution to the university. But for PhD, they basically have you for 5 or 7 years, so they can really invest in you because they know that you will be able to give back. Okay, so now this section is over. I want you guys to, again, leave me an emoji or give me some reaction in the chat, letting me know that this was clear. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for your activity. I love this, love this. So now that we have talked about college, we have talked about finances, let's ask Sensei, what can Sensei recommend to me? Let's recap. So I said, I want to do engineering. I need full financial aid. I want to be in a big city and I have a pretty good academic standing. So what are my options? Here's what Sensei recommends to me. And I will explain why each of these options have been recommended. Number one is MIT. Probably everyone here knows MIT. It is one of the best universities in the US that's focused on technology and engineering. The reason I can afford MIT is because it provides full financial aid. So I can literally go there entirely for free. Number two, the recommendation is a Stanford University. Again, Stanford University is in the middle of Silicon Valley, super entrepreneurial, super techy, very competitive, but it also provides full financial aid. So these options are a perfect match for me. But now we're going away from the United States, because I always say that the United States is not the only place where you can get good education. Next recommendation for me is Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. And again, Hong Kong is a big, vibrant city, so I'm pretty sure I would be very happy there. And Hong Kong has something called Admission Scholarship, which is a fully funded scholarship for undergraduate students. All right, the next option is Technical University of Munich. So now I'm getting a recommendation for Europe, which is also amazing. And I think German engineering is one of the best in the world. If I want to afford a TUM, I would basically get free tuition because that's just free in the university by itself. And for living expenses, I might be able to get a merit-based scholarship. And the last option that I have is Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, which is located in Seoul, Korea. I believe it's Seoul, I'm not too sure, but it's in Korea. And again, KAIST provides me with undergraduate scholarship that is fully funded. So as you can see, these universities are actually a fit for me. They are fit for my academics, for my lifestyle, and for my financial aspect. And this is the kind of recommendation you will be able to get from Borderless Sensei. So it's going to save you hours and hours and hours of research. Now, I want to move on to the next step. So let's say we understand what we want to do. We understand what universities are there. We found a way to pay for it. And now we actually need to apply. So Sensei, help me apply. Let's do this. This is the most common list of various application documents that you will have to submit. Of course, this is not relevant to every university and every country. This is pretty general, but it should give you a good idea of what you guys have to do. The first one is, of course, the application form. This is where you will give your basic information, your name, address, passport details, which high school you went to, what are your GPAs, other achievements, all of that. Usually it's an online application. In the US, it's called Common App. In UK, it's called UCAS. Some universities just have it on their own website, okay? Number two is transcripts. Transcripts are basically your grades that you have throughout high school. So you don't need a complete diploma. You will be applying in your last year of high school. So whatever grades you have at the moment, this is what you will be submitting. Number three is any kind of essay. That could be a personal statement. This is a essay for the US or the UK. That can be a motivation letter, or that can be a statement of purpose. There's different names, there's different prompts, different word limits, but make sure that you know how to write well, because whatever you're applying for, whatever degree, whatever country, you will definitely have to write some kind of essay. Number four are recommendation letters. So your teachers or your employers or your mentors will have to recommend you as an amazing student to university. You might only need one, you might need three. It depends on the program. It depends on your degree. So important note for you to have good relationship with your teachers, because they do play a role in your application process. The next step you have to do is English language testing. So this is if you're talking about going to an English speaking country. But if you're going to study in, let's say, German, you will probably have to take German language test. If you're going to go to Japan, you will have to take JLPT. But if you're studying in an English speaking country or in an English speaking program, you will have to do a test. Usually that is IELTS or TOEFL or Duolingo. And this test you could skip, I think, if you are already studying in English, but that really depends on your unique case. So this is something you should just check on the university website. The next one is standardized tests. So these are tests in certain subjects. For example, SAT is the test for undergraduate, and it would test your math and your English ability. For graduate schools, you will have to take something called GRE or GMAT based on the major that you want to do. I would say usually these tests are very difficult for international students and even for local American students. So this is where students struggle a lot. So again, you guys got to prepare very, very early for them. And the last document that you will have to submit is a resume or a list of your extracurricular activities. So extracurricular activity is basically anything that you do outside of school. That can be volunteering, that could be doing internships, that can be doing research, having your own company, whatever it is you do, they will ask about that. So it can either be in the application form, or sometimes you have to provide an actual resume, which is like a one-page PDF. So this is a very comprehensive list of what you have to do, but of course, you always have to be very careful and check these things on university's website for all the details, okay? So now I believe you guys might want some advice about these documents. So we're moving on to the second to last section of this webinar, where Sensei will give his best advice for a few of these documents. And right after that, we're gonna open up the sales of Borderless Sensei, and I will explain to you exactly how you can use it, what it can help you with, and all the benefits that come with it. So the first section is advice for your essays or for your letters of motivation. Here are top 3 tips by Sensei. Number one is it's very important to tell a good story and to not just list accomplishments. This is a very common mistake that international students make. They think that they just need to show how amazing and smart they are and what kind of grades they got and what Olympiads they won. But it's not the place for it. You're already going to submit your resume. You're already going to submit your grades. So essay is about your story. This is where you have to show your personality, your thoughts, your emotions, your reflections, your goals, and create a compelling narrative that will actually make people care about you, right? Because admissions officers are real people, and they also just want to experience something. They want to read something and care for you, feel a certain emotion. So you can only do that through storytelling. Number two, it's very important to be yourself. A lot of times students try to guess what would sound good in their essay. They're like, oh, it seems like they really care about volunteering. So let me write what a good and charitable person I am and how much I've done volunteering. But this is not good because this is not authentically you, and you will never be able to compete with someone who is actually passionate about volunteering. So if you don't care about volunteering, that is perfectly fine. It means that you care about something else. Maybe you care about gender equality. Maybe you care about animal rights. Maybe you care about playing games. Wherever it is, you have to tap into that and be authentic and tell your own story. And the last tip is, of course, to start early. I cannot even explain to you guys how big of a difference I can see in essays that have been written over a month period or over one day. There is just a huge, huge, huge difference. So it is very important to give yourself enough time, because you will have to do a lot of reflection. You will have to write many drafts. You will have to seek feedback. So it all takes a lot of time. Number two, advice for recommendation letters. The first one is that it is very important to choose the right recommender. And the best person is somebody who knows you really well. And it's not any teacher, right? So let's say you went to math class and you always sat at the back and you never talked to the teacher, but you have an A in that class. That would be a very, very bad recommendation letter. A good person to write your letter would be somebody that you had multiple conversations with, somebody that you worked on a project with. Maybe that person helped you write a paper, maybe they coached you for a competition, or maybe you just spent a lot of time together. So make sure that person knows you really well and can actually tell a story about you. Number two is that you want to provide a brag sheet. And brag sheet is basically a list of the accomplishments about you. Because even if the teacher knows you really well, they probably don't remember everything that you have done because they have like tens of other amazing students. So it's your job to help them remember. So I recommend you guys to bring a sheet and say, I did this, this, and that. I have this grade in your class. I also stayed up late to finish this project. I also helped this person. At the same time, I'm active in student government. I'm also doing sports. Basically, write everything that's amazing about you and give that to a teacher so that when the teacher writes, they can remember all the cool things that you have done. And the last tip that's very similar to the tip about essay is to request the letter early, because recommenders are teachers or professors or employers. They're very busy people and they have very important things to do. So if you ask them 2 days before, one, they will probably say no, and two, they will probably write you a very bad letter using like ChatGPT that's just going to sound very robotic and not going to do you any justice. So in order to get a really good letter, you have to actually ask very, very early, okay? And the next section is on advice for extracurricular activities. The first one is authenticity, and I have briefly touched on it when I talked about essays. So I will repeat it again because this is super important. You want to engage in activities that genuinely reflect your passions. So now I want to ask all of you guys to use the chat and to tell me, what are you passionate about? And don't think that this is something that has to sound cool on the application. Like, what are you genuinely interested in? Do you like pets? Do you like cooking? Do you like watching TV? What it is that you care about? Let me know in the chat and I will take a sip of water in the meantime. All right, I love these. Music, science, writing, biology. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I think you guys should kind of self-organize because there's a lot of people with the same interests, and I think you guys would have really fun time talking to each other. But going back to the topic of authenticity. So what you wrote right now is things that you genuinely care about. So I want you guys to remember this. So when the time comes to fill out your application, you should write about that. And you shouldn't be like, oh, I like reading, but actually I heard that doing math competitions sounds cooler in application. So I'm just gonna go and find random math competition and try to get a random medal. Please don't do that. Admissions officers can see right through it. So please stay very authentic to yourself. Number two, you want to have in your activities is cohesion. It's very important that all parts of your application, all the documents that I have mentioned before, paint one coherent picture of you as a person. Because let's say, so I said I'm interested in engineering, but if at the same time I volunteered at a hospital and then I did some other activities, taking care of pets, and then I wrote a book about fashion, like it wouldn't make any sense because it's not clear what am I actually interested in, what is my strengths. So I'm not saying that all activities have to be on the exact same topic, but all of your activities have to tie into one picture of you as a person, okay? And the last and very important is all of your activities have to show commitment. Way too many times people are like, oh, can I just do volunteering for one weekend and put it in my application? The answer is yes, you can, but it is not gonna help you stand out. It is very important to have a long-term commitment in your activity because there's a big difference between someone who's done volunteering for 2 days or someone who's done it for 2 summers every single day. There is a very, very big difference because if you're truly passionate about something, you would be doing it for a long time. So right now, whatever grade or year of university or school you're in, you guys should reevaluate everything that you do and pick activities that are actually aligned with your passion that you can actually dedicate a lot of time for. So quality always wins versus quantity, okay? It's much better to have one amazing activity than to have 10 very mediocre activities. And these are the last tips for success before we start the sales of our Borderless Sensei. So first one is tying back to what we have started with. It's that you have to show a strong fit with the university's culture and values. It is never about whatever gives a scholarship. It is never about whatever your parents told you. It's never about whatever is ranked #1 on US News. It is about where do you feel the strongest fit? Where do you see yourself living and thriving for the next many years of your life? What kind of people do you want to be surrounded by? What kind of environment do you want to be in? What kind of city do you want to live in? What kind of professors do you want to have? All of this is your fit and is much, much more than just about finances. So please make sure that you have that in when you are researching universities. Number two is that it's super important to start preparing early. How early? Right now. Whatever grade, whatever year you're in, you should be preparing from today. But if you want me to give you a more precise answer, I would say it takes about 2 years of preparation to get into world's best universities. So for, again, going back to Harvard, MIT, NYU, and all these schools, it will take 2 years from the moment you decide to go abroad until the moment you actually submit your application. Can you do it in less than 2 years? Yes, you can. And maybe you will see some people who are like, oh, I submitted my application last minute and I got in. So number one is that they probably are lying. There is something cool about saying, oh, I didn't care and then I just did it last minute and I succeeded. That is probably not the whole story. So number one, I would be very skeptical about that. And number two, yes, some people might be able to do it in a shorter time, but that really depends on their level of preparation. So for example, if someone's English is their first language, then taking a test like IELTS or TOEFL is very easy. But if you don't speak English well, it will take you months and multiple times to take that test well. Again, if you speak English really well, you will write your essays much faster than somebody who does not speak English really well. So when I say 2 years, this is the general pattern for international students who have the concerns that we have mentioned before, who feel confused, who feel lost, who need time to research, who need time to get information, who need time to prepare for tests, who need time to ask their teachers for recommendation letters and even try to explain to them what's a recommendation letter. Because many times Teachers don't even speak English, so it's pretty difficult to get them to write a letter. So considering all of that, it really takes 2 years. So if you have 1 year, it's fine, but you really need to hurry, and you really, really need to be aware that this is not a get rich quick kind of thing. This is a really big commitment, but in the end of the day, it is going to change your life entirely. Whenever it gets hard, I want you to go to Borderless, and I want you to read stories of people who have gone from whatever place you're in right now to the best universities in the world. And I think this is, if this doesn't motivate you, I don't know what will, because this is the most life-changing thing you can do for yourself right now. And the last advice is to remember that you're not alone. You guys should be open to seeking feedback and support from everyone around you. That would be your teachers, who will be helping you write recommendation letters, who can help you get better grades, who can maybe let you go home early if you have some essay to write. Just be nice to your teachers, and they want to help you. Your counselors, I know that not everybody has a counselor, but if you do, seek feedback from them. Also try to network, stay connected to friends, to alumni of universities, and literally any people on the internet that you feel like can provide value to you. And I believe this is how you guys found us, because you've probably seen me on TikTok and you saw that I was helpful, so you came here. And I want you guys to keep this up, and I want you to seek feedback and support and resources from all of these people that I have mentioned, and from somebody or something else. That is Borderless Sensei, that is finally ready to be your guide in college admissions. So Borderless Sensei is an AI-powered college counselor for international students. And you can access the link on sensei.borderless.so. I believe somebody from the team can send the clickable link to the chat so you guys can access it right now. And yes, if you're excited for Borderless Sensei, please leave an emoji here. Awesome. I'm seeing a lot of them. Beautiful. So let me share what exactly Sensei can do for you. Okay, I've seen the link, but you guys are so active that the link has disappeared. But the link is sensei.borderless.so. So Borderless Sensei is basically full admission guidance via chat interface. We all use our phones a lot. You guys all are on WhatsApp, on TikTok, on Telegram, and we know that you're very comfortable with it. So we designed it in a way that you can chat to Sensei like you would to any other person, like you would to me, your teacher, your mentor, or anyone else. So all you need to access Sensei is basically your phone and internet connection. That is it. So here are a few things that Sensei can do for you. Number one is it can provide you with unlimited and instant personalized college guidance. What I mean by unlimited is that it doesn't take vacations, it doesn't sleep, and it doesn't get tired. So at any point, whenever you want to ask a question, you will receive a response. Number two, instant, it means that it works instantly. So you'll be able to get your response in 1 second, maybe 2 seconds if your internet is slow. But unlike a person, again, it doesn't have a schedule, it doesn't sleep, and it doesn't get tired. So whatever question you have, you will be able to get it answered in just a few moments, which will save you literally hours and hours of time. Number two, what it can do for you is it can basically provide you instructions or clarified application process to any country in the world. Our team here has spent a lot of time training Sensei to learn how to get into any university in any country. So if you are confused, what has to be provided, when do you apply, what do they care about, this is your way to get that kind of information, again, in an instant. Number three, this will be very interesting to you, is that it has database of international scholarships that are worth millions of dollars. I have actually not calculated how much exactly, but I will give you that number pretty soon. And it is literally millions and millions of dollars. It is the most comprehensive database of scholarships for international students that exists on the internet and in the world. Because we have personally created it, we have personally searched and checked all the websites, all the requirements, and we have created this database specifically for you. And all the scholarships have eligibility requirements, the link, so it is going to be super easy for you guys to use. And the last one it is not just providing you information, it is actually very smart. So it's also able to help you guys with application strategy and profile development. So if you come to Sensei and you say, hey, Sensei, my GPA is 3.5, so I'm not too sure what I should do here, it will be able to help you guys strengthen your application and give you advice on what you should really focus on. But that's not it. Here are a few other perks that I believe you guys will enjoy a lot. Number one is that you all will get my full guidance and support. Whenever you become a student of Sensei, you also become a student of me, which means I will be also in that chat app service with you. You can tag me at any time and you can ask me any question that I will try to do my best to answer in the best way that I can. Again, I do sleep and I do take days off, so my response will not be instant, but I guarantee you that I will always get back to you and I will do my best to provide any guidance that I can. And in my case, you've heard my story that I have gone through the journey. I have succeeded in college applications. I have gotten more than $500,000 in scholarships. And I have also been in the education space for the last 6 years, which is a lot. So trust me, I do know what it takes to get into universities. I do understand how to help you guys. So I will be there together with Sensei to provide you the guidance that you need. The next one is that you guys will get a private community of like-minded students that will be in the form of a group chat where you can actually talk to each other. I know that when you guys when we created a WhatsApp community, many people were saying, oh, I want to talk to each other. Now this will be possible. We will create a private community where you all can talk to each other and you also can talk to me. And this is very important because, as I was saying in the beginning, many of you might feel a little bit lonely. You might feel like, oh, nobody around me is trying to go abroad, which definitely makes the journey much harder. Because if you're trying to go to Harvard, but everyone around you is just trying to go to some local university, you might feel very discouraged. People might say, oh, why are you trying to go? That is impossible. You will never get in. So you will feel very demotivated. But when you're around people like today who are doing what you're doing, who are going through the same things, it is the most empowering thing you can have, and we will create that kind of environment for you. And the last one is, as I mentioned, a comprehensive database worth of millions and millions of dollars and scholarships that you will be able to access again in an instant. I want you guys to show a few cases how Sensei will reply to you. So these are the actual screenshots of the Sensei interface. For example, you can ask it, how do I apply to university in the UK? And just like that, Sensei will give you step-by-step instructions. It will tell you to register on UCAS website, to choose the courses, to complete your application, to write a personal statement, a reference letter. It will even tell you how much it costs to apply. And this is something you can get in 1 second instead of spending hours and hours trying to Google it. Another question you can ask is, hey, I really love K-pop, Blackpink, whatever you're interested in, and I want to go to Korea for an undergraduate degree. And just like that, Sensei will recommend you websites and links to different scholarships in Korea that you will be able to apply to. Again, just imagine how many hours of research it will save you. Because if you type the same question in Google, you will get absolutely nothing. Or maybe you will get the most popular scholarship, and that's about it. But here you will get, actually not 3, there is more. You will get personalized recommendations of scholarships, and you will get the links and all the details to apply. And instead of spending time to research, you will actually spend time applying and actually making your application strong. Another use case is, for example, asking a more specific question, like how do I get a common app fee waiver? Right? This is something that's very hard to find otherwise. And again, if you ask it to Sensei, it will give you 4 simple steps about how you can do this. So as you can see, it is very, very powerful. It knows everything there is to know about study abroad, and it is also constantly improving. Our team is here full-time, adding more knowledge to Sensei, training it, making it smarter and smarter. So it is insanely smart. Here are the components that go into Chat Sensei Borderless Sensei, sorry. Number one is ChatGPT's intelligence. So as you guys probably have heard, ChatGPT is an AI tool that's released by OpenAI that basically changed the world. And we are using that latest technology to bring it to you guys. Number two is trusted information. As I was saying, we have trained it on very credible and trusted resources specifically for international students. So it's not going to be for Americans, or it's not going to be for any other people. It is going to be relevant to you, to international students, with your international students' needs that are very different from local students. And number three is expert verification. Expert is me, somebody who's done it, somebody who has 6 years of experience, and I'm there double checking everything that Sensei recommends you and adding my own insights. So you truly get the best of technology and the best of human expertise in one tool. And the best part is that you can get it for less than 1% of traditional college counseling cost. Before I move on, I would like to ask here, has anyone tried to use college counseling services? If you have, let me know, and maybe you can share how much did it cost. It is so expensive. Yes, Alice, it is very expensive. Somebody's saying $10,000. No, it's expensive. Yes, we also think it is very expensive. $120 an hour. As I can see, prices range, but I guess we can all agree that it is pretty expensive. And if you're somebody who is trying to get full financial aid, you definitely do not have thousands of dollars. So here are the few numbers that I was able to get from my research. If you want to get one consultation that could range from, 30 minutes to 1 hour, it would be more than $200. If you want to get help researching universities, it would be $500. If you want to actually get help with strategy planning, $800, essay review, more than $1,000 per essay, and the overall package could start with $6,000. This is a lot of money that I believe is not affordable for a lot of people. But this is the general landscape of international education. And sadly, even the quality of such services is not guaranteed. So you can pay $6,000 and you can be advised by somebody who never even went abroad. I cannot even tell you guys how many times people put on their LinkedIn that they went to Harvard and then they try to advise you. But what turns out is that they just took a summer course at Harvard and they actually never went there and they have no idea what they're talking about. So unfortunately, quality is not guaranteed and prices are very, very high, which is exactly why we wanted to make Sensei as affordable as possible. So now I believe you guys can finally access it for $15 a month, which is the promised discount. It is a 50% discount. You can get it now for $15 a month forever. So not just the first month, but forever and ever for the next 2 years that you need to use it, it will only be $15 a month. Now, this discount is only available for 24 hours starting from right now. It is 11 a.m. in my time zone. So exactly 24 hours while you can get this discount. In order to claim the discount, you need to use the code launch50 when you are making a purchase. So I believe our team is now sending the link. It is also available on the slide. It is sensei.borderless.so. You go there, you click on the buy or purchase button, you put in the code launch50, and you will be able to get it for only $15 a month. Now, this $15 a month includes everything that I have mentioned before. It is full unlimited college guidance. It is my support. It is all the scholarships. It is the private WhatsApp community and so much more that we are developing. So this is an amazing offer, literally 1% of traditional college counseling cost. So I want you guys to tell me who is now on the site. Who is on the site? If you've made a purchase, let me know. If you have any questions, also let us know. Our team will be able to reply to you. Yes, I'm on site. Awesome, awesome. Yes, so the offer is expiring in exactly 24 hours. I think we will add that information to the website, but basically from now on, it is 24 hours. And in order to get a discount, get a coupon code that is launch50. You need to type it and you should be able to claim that discount. All right. In order to make a payment, you can use any international credit card. We have a very secure system that takes Visa, MasterCard. So whatever you have, you should be able to use it. If you encounter any problem, then just let us know. You can leave it here in the chat, or you can send us an email. $15 per month forever. Yes, $15 per month forever. So it is not just one-time discount. And basically, if you use it for a year, you will save. Let's make a simple calculation. Yeah, if you use it for a year, it's $180 instead of $360. So this is a very, very exclusive offer. And it's only to you guys, because I think you guys are amazing. The fact that you have signed up for the event, the fact that you came here shows that you're very dedicated, you're very committed. And I truly, truly want to work with you, because you guys have already done more than what many, many other people have done. And I'm genuinely very, very excited to be able to assist you on your journey, to be able to guide you, and to use all our power as a borderless company to provide assistance for you.